Hey, everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Thanks for tuning in today. You guys have found me at my little corner of the internet. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of February, and today I've got one of my favorite people in the whole wide world on the show with me today, and we're going to skip the topic that we normally do on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about how to take care of yourself using essential oils. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. All right, so welcome to the show today, you guys. Before I jump into it, I want to remind you that if you would like to submit a question to me, the way to do that is to go to HeidiSt.John.com/mailbox Monday. There's a form there you can fill out. We want to hear from you. It's where you can submit your off-the-bench stories. I am loving hearing from you, especially if you're in Canada. So if you're in Canada right now under the tyrannical leadership of the tyrant Trudeau, I really want to hear from you. I'm watching videos coming out of Canada that are absolutely heartbreaking. I love Canada, and I don't understand why the United States isn't sending tanks and military personnel to Canada to help our neighbors who are literally being tyrannized by Trudeau. So I want to hear from you. So if you're in Canada, reach out to me, HeidiSt.John.com/mailbox Monday. You can submit that form and, leave your phone number there, and I might actually call you and have you come on the show because the world needs to know what's happening up to our north. This is a sad time for the Canadians, and we're going to keep sharing their stories here at the show. All right, you guys, I'm really very, very pleased today to have Melissa Crabtree on the show. Many of you guys have heard Melissa. She's been on the show with me before. She often travels with me out on the road. Melissa and I have worked together for over a decade, and she really was the driving force behind getting me involved in essential oils and really taking charge of my own health. We've talked about this before on the show, and we thought, you know what? It's springtime. We're about ready to have allergies, and people's eyes and noses are about to start dripping and running and all the things. And so I asked her to come on the show, and we're going to give you guys a little bit of an essential oil primer coming into spring. Hey, darling, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's always good to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. Nice to see your smiling face over there in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish you would move here, but I'm trying, but it never works. I'm trying, I've been trying for years, hey, move to the Northwest. And she's like, are you kidding me? Do you know who your governor is? Do you understand what's happening there? Why would I leave Oklahoma? I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I'm running for Congress really so that Melissa will move to Washington. It's a good motivation. It's working for me. Listen, tell everybody a little bit about your background and kind of what got you so excited about essential oils.
I was a crunchy mom, I think, a little while from the beginning. I've got 2 kids with food allergies, and I have food allergy myself. So we learned, sort of that clean, it's a corn allergy, and corn is in everything. So when you're avoiding corn, you're eating fairly well for the most part. So I was always thinking out of the box. And then when Jacob, who's now 19, almost 20, we just started to have things go on with him, and doctors didn't know what the answers were. But I'm a real cause and effect person. I'm always watching for patterns, and I really feel like our bodies will, were created to heal themselves when we give them what they need. So years ago, I was just always looking. I just always felt like there was an answer. And really, there was one very specific point that we had been to numerous doctors for Jacob for some gut stuff and behavior stuff, and I really was seeing food connections. And I remember one day just saying, Lord, you know the answer for this kid. You know him, you created him, you know the answer, and I need you to show me. And within 2 days, through a pre-menopause book, he pointed me to this section on infertility that led me to digestive enzymes, that led me to Google. And I started Googling digestive enzymes, and those were the answers. That was exactly the answer that we needed for Jacob. And like I said, we'd been to a Johns Hopkins specialist who didn't have the answer. And that really was the beginning of me knowing we can do some research for our own health. And I'm not disparaging people in the medical community. Of course, we've certainly learned in the last couple of years that I think there are many people in the medical community who believe like we do and feel stuck. I think they're learning, and I'm so proud of so many who are willing to have their eyes opened and see that it's not always about the textbook. Mm-hmm. We have lived, we've seen it in our life. The textbooks are not always correct. Mm-hmm. My husband works in operations, and the engineers who write the operations, they don't know how it works in the field. So I feel like we're the field. And the textbooks don't always tell, the real story of what our life is like. So I started to get real crunchy back then. And then I was just always looking for more solutions to help us be well instead of repairing sick. So instead of a sick care model, looking for being a life of wellness and fixing stuff at the very beginning, trying to fix it from the inside out. And then after, I guess, probably 15 years of that journey is when I encountered oils, really cheap oils, actually, for the first time. And I didn't hear about Young Living for quite a few years after that. And boy, did I see a difference in their effectiveness and just how much they could help. So,
Yeah, because when
yeah.
you and I started talking about essential oils, you weren't using Young Living exclusively. I mean, we had lots of different brands that we were trying. And that was, when I was living in the South for a little while, and we were having all kinds of problems with ticks and all kinds of problems with all the things that try to kill you in the South. Interesting, my husband was a huge skeptic, and I made up a little like an insect repellent spray, and I can't remember exactly what's in it now, but it smelled really good, and we sprayed that all over our ankles and our arms, and everywhere that we were getting ticks. I mean, didn't you get a tick out of Sailor's head? Whose head was it? One of my kids got it.
Actually, the Enterprise Rent-A-Car guy got the tick out of Sailor's head.
There you go. There you go.
But yes, I was babysitting Sailor, and she had a tick in her hair.
Yeah.
And the Enterprise Rent-A-Car guy is who got the tick out of her head.
So funny. And we have all kinds of stories. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do something different because we're down here all the time and we're having issues. And that happened. And then we started treating allergies with essential oils. And eventually I discovered, through working with you and a lot of other people, that I could manage stress in my life and some of the adrenal issues I was having with essential oils. And I eventually got off traditional medicines that people have been using for stress and anxiety, and I'm not on any of them. And I haven't been now for several years. So that was
I would venture to say you probably have more stress in your life right now than
You're
you
not
did
wrong. You are not wrong. I know. Every day I'm talking to him, well, how are you? Well, my life's on fire. And that's how I describe it. But yeah, you're right. And so we've learned better ways. In fact, right now, I've got a diffuser going behind me. Skylar and I are always putting something in the diffuser, and it's peppermint today. It smells real good in here. It keeps me awake because I couldn't stop yawning through an interview I did the other day. So I was like, we're going to put something else in the diffuser. So the fact is, these oils have been given to us by God. Really, I mean, they come from creation, which is what's so exciting to me. But I want to jump into some of the main things. There's a lot of people listening to this. We have a whole new audience, and you and I have talked about essential oils for years on the show, maybe twice a year. I want to kind of go through, because we're coming into allergy season, right? I just am noticing the trees are blooming here already. The buds are on the trees. This is one of my favorite times of year because it's so hopeful. And I know we're coming out of Biden's long, dark winter. We're going to be,
and we didn't all die.
And we didn't all die. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Who knew?
Who knew? So I want to give people, kind of an intro. So I'm actually just going to turn it over to you because you and I talked about a few things to go over today, but really giving them a primer and some of the things that we can be talking through and coming up with better solutions than, here's a bunch of pills and some Benadryl. And it'd be nice to move away from that to things that actually support our body's systems the way that God designed them. And that's why I love so much about essential oils.
Yeah. There are so many good tools in oils. And like you said, they're supporting us from the inside out. And the nice thing about oils too is that they're doing things besides just the one thing we want them to do. So I might be using lavender for a burn. If I burned myself in the kitchen, lavender and peppermint's going to take the heat out of it. Almost always by the next morning, it's going to be gone. And so I'm using that, but those oils are getting in my bloodstream and they're cleaning out my receptor sites at the same time. So they're healing my body in ways that all I want is my burn to go away. And they're actually healing from the inside out. So Young Living comes with they have a starter kit. It's just a great toolkit for getting started with oils because a lot of people, it's overwhelming to them and they just don't know where to start. So Young Living has made this really easy in that way. There are 3 different ways that you can use oils. You can use them aromatically. You can use them topically. So aromatically would be in a diffuser or on a cotton ball in your purse or in your air vent or things like that. Topically, or you can put them in capsules and you can ingest them when we're only talking about Young Living oils here. So I'm not telling you to go ingest any other brand. So you can use them in those different ways. And Young Living has a starter kit. It has 12 oils in it. And I'm just going to run through each one of those oils so you have an idea of how many things that starter kit can help you with and how applicable it is to right now. Before I forget, though, we're talking about snotty noses. We're still out here in Tennessee where we had 75 degrees yesterday, and today it's 24. So we're in this back and forth, super dry air still. And we often think we have a sinus infection. But one of our biggest things that I've learned is that often it's just your sinuses overreacting to being really dried out. You guys don't have this out there because I think you're generally fairly humid all the time.
Not
but if
humid.
you can just put
Not humid.
not humid.
That is
okay. Well, then maybe this will be good for you. Or a fireplace. You guys have a fireplace, so that would dry stuff out at your house.
The air is definitely. I mean, we're at sea level here, so that's the difference.
Okay.
So somebody up in the mountains,
Okay.
the air is really dry. Here, it doesn't feel humid, but the air definitely has a lot more moisture. And I'm just giving you a hard time because that's the thing. That's the thing I like to do.
Well, what I learned is that if you put moisture in your nostrils, that alone can keep your sinuses from overreacting and then feeling like you have a sinus infection.
Mhm.
Because we're so prone when we have a sinus infection to think I need to go to the doctor and get an antibiotic. Well, then that antibiotic goes in and it messes with our gut health. So I'm actually teaching a class on this Thursday at 2:00 Eastern, where I'm going to talk about gut health and how that affects our whole body. I'm going to do a Zoom class, so I can put that link on the page that we'll talk about a little bit later. Yeah, I'll have that link for you guys if anybody wants to join us. But we take an antibiotic because we think we have a sinus infection. And typically, doctors are happy to hand out an antibiotic. It messes with our gut health. We end up with a yeast infection, and it takes us several months to get our gut health back in order. And if we're having sugar and soda and wheat and lots of other junk, then we're feeding that yeast. And then we just start this really long domino effect of not feeling well, and we don't even realize that it came from that antibiotic that was just from a stuffy nose that we could have gotten over in a week anyway. Mm-hmm. So when we have things like oils to help us, we can deal with the symptoms and we can start to heal our body from the inside out. And then we don't have to start with the whole antibiotic round, domino effect. Mm-hmm. So this starter kit has 12 oils in it. There are, let's see, the best way to go through it, I think, is, well, we'll start with breathing since we're talking about that right now. There's one called Raven that's great for all things breathing. It's great for putting on your chest or your back with coughs. You can use it in your diffuser to help open up your airways. It's good for kids. It's good for the bottom of your feet. All of those ways can help open up your airways. Also, it has some eucalyptus in it, which is great for muscle aches and pains. So it's great to add to a bath. You and I always talk about this when you're like, Melissa, I'm going downhill. I'm like, take 10 drops of these oils, put them in Epsom salt, and take a bath. And it is crazy how much that helps. It draws the toxins out of our body.
Yeah, I mean, I can wake up in the morning. Yeah, I'll wake up in the morning and just literally feel better. Or I keep a bottle of eucalyptus in my shower. Yeah. And I'll put, maybe 5 or 6 drops around the perimeter of my shower. And so as I'm taking a shower, they're kind of seeping down into and it's steam. It's like taking a steam bath with eucalyptus. It's fantastic. Yeah. So for breathing, we've got Raven. There's peppermint. That's great for all things breathing. And those are the two that are really for breathing, I think. Then we've got one that helps with lots of aches and pains. That's called Panaway. It has some wintergreen in it that can help. It can help your body's natural response to inflammation. It's really, really helpful. And Panaway is we call that one a gateway oil for a lot of men. Because a lot of men are like, keep your snake oils. We don't want to have anything to do with them. But when they have an aching back, most of them will not turn their wife down when she says, hey, can I dump this oil on your back and give you a massage? Mm-hmm. And then almost always the men are believers. They're like, that's awesome. I want more of that. Yeah. So Panaway is great for that. Then there are a few that are really great for purifying the air. Citrus Fresh is one. It's a blend of a lot of citrus oils, and it can purify the air at the same time. It doesn't just make it smell good. So, lots of times we think, well, we'll just burn a candle. Well, that just covers all of the odors. But essential oils are actually purifying your air and taking care of the root of the oils at the same time. So how does that work? There are people who are listening that's going, wait, what? I mean, how does that work? How does putting the oil in the droplets in the air, how does that purify it? We talked about this last time, but I just want people to kind of understand because they're doing more than just sitting in there. Things are binding to those oils, which is actually pretty cool, the way that the droplets work in the air.
Yeah, so I think part of it is they're attracting, those molecules will change the air and the properties around them. I don't know that I have a couple of sentence, a real clear answer of exactly the science that's happening, and I don't want to just make it up. But I know that there are research studies that show that it's done.
Hmm.
Clove is in thieves oil. That is one that there's research that shows that it purifies the air.
Hmm.
So I know that it changes the quality of the air. Everything that's floating around the air.
Hmm.
But honestly, I don't have a fabulous scientific answer for the actual
Well,
chemical
and we have a
reactions that are
couple of
happening
we
in the
have
air.
and there are a couple of great articles we can link back to in the show notes today because
Yep.
I that was one of the first things I read because I didn't understand. People were saying, "Stop using candles. You're putting chemicals in the air and the oils are purifying the air." And I was like, "Well, how does that work?" And it actually made sense to me. I started looking at, they basically this one guy was basically talking about it like a vacuum cleaner, kind of coming the oils were acting like a vacuum cleaner. The bad things were binding to those oils, the molecules that were in the air that were being released out of the diffuser. And it made sense to me because now you're getting rid of, you're not just making the air smell better, you're actually getting rid of the bad things that are in the air that are hurting you in the first place. And so I thought that was a fascinating way to look at it because people look at diffusers
Yeah.
and go, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we switched to almost all diffusers in our house because we know it's
Hmm.
better for us than breathing in. And I'm not super hardcore. I'm not saying I never light a candle, but I do think it's good for us to start considering what are we putting in the air at our homes? What is it that's affecting our quality of life? And a lot of times it's things we just don't know, we're not normally thinking about.
Well, and one really big difference between a diffuser and a candle is candles are full of chemical, artificial scents.
Mm-hmm.
And as an asthmatic, I can absolutely tell you those things are not good for my lungs because there's a reason I respond to those things because it's not that what God meant for me to breathe.
Right.
And and there's a whole lot of research. If you guys just go Google, the artificial fragrance and how bad it is for us. It can start with hormone problems, endocrine disruptors. They're called xenoestrogens,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bad for us. But lots of times we don't realize the damage that they're doing until we've been doing it for 10 years. Or think about newborn babies come home and they've got stinky diapers, so we light a candle in their room. We're putting artificial fragrance into the air, which isn't healthy for them to be breathing, and we could be using oils that are healthy for them instead.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are they not offensive, but they are actually proactively good for
Mm-hmm.
them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's such a better choice. Um, so Citrus Fresh is a great one for purifying the air. Citrus Fresh is also um, sorry, I lost my train of thought on that one. Okay, so Citrus Fresh is
That's what
great for
Skylar will
purifying
fix
things
it.
in the air. Yes, I tried to go back and start
Skylar
it that way.
feels that's
I
like
started to say whatever Citrus Fresh is
like the
great for.
night
Water and detox. There we go. That's what I was going to say.
1024.
So Citrus Fresh is really good for cleaning our air. It's also really good for detoxifying our bodies. So Citrus Fresh is a vitality oil, which means it's great to add into your water. Or you could take it in a capsule. Our lymphatic system is one of the ways that we're getting junk out of our bodies, and exercise is one of the best ways to stimulate that, but so is using essential oils. Grapefruit oil has a compound in it that will help rid our body of petrochemicals, and when we can clean those petrochemicals out of our fat cells, then our body can shed those fat cells. But the petrochemicals in our fat cells can make it so that our body can't lose those. So Citrus Fresh is a great oil to add to your water, add to a capsule. You can use it topically on cellulite areas. So that's a great one to use. Let's see. Raven, we've talked about Raven. So Thieves is a great signature oil. Almost everybody has heard of Thieves. That is a great one that's kind of anti-everything. We really can't officially talk about all of the things that Thieves does. It's a great combination to help your body fight all sorts of germs and stuff that it's going to come in contact with. We love to use Thieves on the bottom of our feet or on our spine when people are fighting stuff in our families. And we know right now some of us are more scared than others, and that's okay. Everybody, comes from different backgrounds. But when you have a tool, if you're exposed to something and then you have a tool that you can use, you just feel better about it. You don't have to live in fear of how hard things are going to be or how hard it's going to be on your body. Just start using oils and you start supporting your body's response to those offensive, we'll just say germs that I think we encounter all the time.
So another one of the big things that we talk about here at the show a lot is emotions and our emotions. And this has been a topic of conversation. We've had multiple guests on the show talk about ways to handle our emotions that don't have to do with drugs that come from these pharmaceutical companies. So many people really are dependent on these drugs now because the mainstream medical community, just like the mainstream media, is focused on one narrative. And we've tried to bring different narratives and different options. And oils are very, very good for emotional health. So I know there's several of them that come in the starter kit. And the reason we keep mentioning the starter kit really is because it's just a great way for people to dive into it. You don't have to get a starter kit. It's just if you're going, what are these essential oils? This is great because it comes with a whole bunch of different ones that target different systems in our body. So that's why we're talking about it. Tell us a little bit about what's in the starter kit that helps us with emotions in particular.
So there are several. What you find with emotions is we all have different causes of our emotions. So we each will kind of land on a different oil that might be our favorite. So what I really like is they give several options. Valor is one that a lot of people love. Stress Away, which is exactly what it talks about. Valor is also great to put on your spine. Peace and Calming. What's funny is I used to hate the smell of Peace and Calming. At the beginning, I gave all of my Peace and Calming away, and now it's one of my favorites.
You gave a bunch of it to me. I was like, thank you.
But I love it now. But Robert has loved it all along, so apparently I shouldn't have given it all away. So Valor, Stress Away, Peace and Calming, those are all great for emotions. The other thing is that peppermint is alerting. That can often help our emotions. And citrus fresh and lemon, those are also really good because there's just a relief and kind of a lightness that comes with citrus oils. So there are a lot of emotional options. Those also all help with calming, which is naturally going to also help with sleep. And I would actually put lavender in that same category. Lavender is kind of known as the Swiss Army knife of oils. If you don't know what to pick lavender. And lavender's in the starter kit. It's great for all things skin. It's great for fighting lots of things. It's great for supporting our body's response to inflammation or things that it might encounter. And then it's great. Everybody, I think, knows it for calming. And let me tell you, real lavender oil, it is not the same thing as fake, artificial scented lavender.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not the same. So if you see, I've got Epsom salts, I'll get the ones with lavender. It's not real lavender. So you're not going to, if you've tried that and you think, well, that didn't help me, it's because you really weren't using real true lavender oil.
Right.
So a couple of the other things that we haven't talked about, Digest is all things belly. Even yesterday, we had a bellyache. My daughter had a bellyache over the weekend that came with some things that I won't tell you about. And then she shared it with me. So I used Digest all day yesterday, and it was a fabulous tool. Like, why have a stomach ache if I have an oil I can put on my stomach and make it go away?
Well,
right?
That was the oil that really changed Jay's mind about essential oils. Because before that, he was just like, it's free, whatever. And it was me putting lavender and peppermint on a burn that he got that he was like, dang, that actually helped. I mean, the peppermint helps right away because it starts to take the heat out of the burn.
Yep.
But he was having stomach issues, and I was like, can I just, rub some of this on your belly? I put a little bit of like a carrier oil, like olive oil, and then I put some drops of Digest, and I said, hey, rub this on your stomach. He was like, oh, brother. Within just a few minutes, he was like, fire, I feel better. I mean, that strapping man of mine, he takes that stuff everywhere. That's always in our suitcases when we travel. That's his favorite oil because
I keep it in my purse.
Well. Yeah, it really does work.
I always want to have it.
It doesn't matter what it is, what digestive issue you're dealing with. That stuff's amazing. Even just smelling it, just taking the lid off and just inhaling it, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yep. And all of these oils that we've talked about, they're all safe to use on children. So we have some direction about how to use that. So the starter kit comes with things that are good for all things emotions, all things breathing and respiratory, all things belly, all things aches and pains, and all things sleep and calming. So that's why it's such a good starter kit. So on thebusymom.com/oils, we have some of this information written out there and some directions. It really is a great way to get started with the starter kit. You can do, I have the information on there, so it's actually confusing just to listen to. So just go to that page and read the information. I will also link on that page, thebusymom.com/oils, for my gut health class that I'm going to teach on Thursday, this Thursday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a Zoom class. Anybody is welcome. I do think we need to make it really clear we're not doctors. We're talking about our personal experience with Young Living oils and how they, along with, other healthy living things, have helped us. They're just such great tools. God created man with a brain. A man with a brain learned the science of, using the creation that God gave us, and they are such good tools. What I also want to tell everybody is we have an exclusive group where we support people. It really matters to us that we're talking about things from a biblical perspective. You will not hear unbiblical things from us. We get to talk about it and run our business and support the people in our business from a biblical worldview. We get to teach about the oils and how they work in our lives, and we choose how we do that. And we really, we do that as a matter of integrity, and we're always pointing to the Creator because He's the one who gave us these good gifts. So we're so thankful for them, and we have lots of support, exclusive support for our folks that are in our oily family, and we love to help walk people through just so many different ways that they can, that you can have wellness answers, and we're so thankful for them.
Well, and it's just the stories, even in our group that we've had now for a long, long time, for years. I mean, they continue just to, I'm always amazed, whenever I get to pop in there and just watch how taking charge of your health. I mean, I just had Rhonda on the show with me last week, and she was talking about how exercise and just walking. She and I touched a little bit on essential oils because it was another thing that really helped her. But just taking charge of your health. And if there's one thing we've learned in the last 2 years is that we can't always trust the traditional medical system. And in fact, I think probably the trust of our traditional medical system is at an all-time low right now because of how they've handled COVID. And it's opening up a different avenue for people to look into alternative ways to treat themselves. I've been going to a functional medicine doctor here in Vancouver, and she's been treating, I've got issues with my spine. So going back, instead of just saying, here, what kind of pain medicine can we put you on? We're going to figure out what the root cause is. And that's why I love oil so much. It really gets to the root cause. Otherwise, we're just masking the issues and we're not dealing with them in a way that's healthy for our bodies overall. And so it's one of the reasons I love oils. And again, where they can go to thebusymom.com/oils. And if you guys have questions, is there a way for people to reach out to you that's linked there if someone had a specific
I think my
question?
email is linked on that. I'll make sure that it is. And one other final sentence but little quick story. So I had mastitis in December, and I think lots of times we think, oh, we'll use 1 or 2 drops of oil, and it didn't work. It's not about just 1 or 2 drops of oil. So I had mastitis. I haven't nursed in 15 years. Apparently, non-lactating mastitis is quite rare, and it's a cruel joke. I'm sicker than I've ever been. I was very, very sick. And I had a couple of doctors who were actually quite concerned about inflammatory breast cancer. So with doctors' advice, I did not want to take an antibiotic. And they knew that I didn't want to take an antibiotic. And by the time I got in with the doctor, I had started using my oils. I was using 50 drops of oils a day topically, and about 50 drops of oils in capsules a day. So if you email me and say, I have mastitis, what should I do? I can't, I'm not going to prescribe you what you should do. And even right off the bat, I can't even think of the oils that I used. But my point is, so I used that. I used a rebounder. I drank tons of water. I slept because our body needs to sleep while we're healing. But it's not just 1 or 2 drops of oils. We have to be consistent, and we have to use the tools we have. So don't be afraid to use your oils and use lots of drops of them. They're very powerful. And I was able to get over that without using antibiotics. And I was so thankful. And I was thankful for the doctors who allowed me to try what I wanted to try and watched it work. So that was actually pretty neat too. So anyway, just that little tidbit there, that it's not just about 1 or 2 drops. Sometimes it is, and that's enough. Like Digize, 1 or 2 drops is really helpful. But sometimes you need more, and you need to do very consistently. I did it for 10 to 12 days. So similar, like we might an antibiotic or, something for that. So I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody. Join us on Thursday if you guys are interested in that. But I'll be watching for emails where I can help. And remember, we can't answer specific, this is my body problem, how do I fix it? Not that sort of stuff, but we can help walk you through supporting from the inside out. And that's what all of our groups are for. We got tons of groups. We have tons of groups for that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really just a wonderful network, and we're watching people literally change their lives and take control of their own health and the health of their children. They're teaching their kids to take care of themselves in a way that's actually good for them. So it's exciting. I love that. We so many things that are facing us right now in the culture, and it's just nice when you start to go, oh wow, I didn't consider that. So I'm excited about that, Melissa. I love you, girl. Thank you so much for coming on. with me
Sure.
today, and I'm excited to see what happens with the new people that say, "Hey, I'm going to give this a try."
It's
It really
so
just
fun.
it's
It's
so much
so
fun, and it
good.
really just is this overall picture of what it means to take care of ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. That's what we've been talking
Hmm.
about here for many, many years at the show. And this is just another tool in our toolbox. So I appreciate you coming on today. And it's just a joy as always. And let's do it again soon.
Yes, it's always good. Thanks.
You're welcome. For more information on today's podcast, go to HeidiSt.com/podcast. Scroll down to the show notes. If you're specifically interested in essential oils, you can go to thebusymom.com/oils, and all the information about today's show will be posted there. Thanks for listening today, everybody, and I will see you back here tomorrow at the intersection of faith and culture.